I've literally just put makeup on just for this, to sit in my house all day. I'm tired of filming myself not wearing makeup because I always think, oh, I look fine. And then I go to edit it and I'm like, why didn't I at least slap on a wee bit of mascara, a wee bit of concealer? So this is what we're working with today. I did not realize how many books I actually read in December. I think I thought I'd only read about 3, but actually I've read 6. 2 of these books were audiobooks and 4 were physical books from my TBR. And most of them all, for the most part, had some sort of Christmassy or winter connection. Some of those actually ended up being like an unintentional Christmas setting, and most of them were because I was like, it's December and I want to read some festive books. However, I've made some notes in my burn book. So the first book that I read in December, it was an audiobook, and it was The Duke and I by Julia Quinn, the first book in the Bridgerton series. This was my first time entering that universe as a book. I've watched the TV show, I've seen, I mean, the new season's about to come out tomorrow, I think, actually, from me filming this. It's coming out tomorrow, which I am excited for it. I was, however, disappointed by season 3. I felt like the tone and the overall, the charm of the show that I loved from the first 2, and even Queen Charlotte, had disappeared. And I didn't like it the same, and I felt a lot of it was just, there was so much going on, so I didn't quite enjoy it the same. At the time watching it, I was entertained. I'm like that with a lot of TV shows. I'm entertained at the time, it's afterwards I start to think about things and I think, actually, I didn't like that. But I was looking for some audiobooks to read, and I thought I would give a go with the Bridgerton series. So I started with book 1, The Duke and I, which I enjoyed that series. There were a few problematic moments, but overall I liked that series from the show. I, however, did not like the audiobook. Now, I think a lot of factors that played into this for me not liking it was, there was a few. So in the end, I gave it 2 stars. I only gave it 2 stars. I've actually technically not even finished it because I was listening to it, I was trying to get through it. I had enjoyed the first part, and then for me it fell off, and then for reasons that I will get into, I ended up not liking the book. But when I got to the epilogue, so I listened to my audiobook and it announces epilogue, I was like, great, I'm at the end of the book. I looked and I still had an hour to go. An hour! And what epilogue takes an hour? Now, there probably is maybe a couple of minutes of credits thrown in there, right? What epilogue takes an hour? An epilogue to me is a very short, brief chapter that gives you a rundown of, it either answers some questions for you that weren't previously answered, it gives you a happy ending, or it ties everything together in a nice way. What do you mean the epilogue is an hour long? So I didn't bother listening to it, and so technically I suppose I haven't actually finished the book. However, I decided at that time, for my own sake and my own sanity, I was just gonna not bother with the epilogue because I don't care, and I'm just gonna give up. But I've read the most of it at that point, and so I deemed that I was in a position to rate the book, and I doubted that that hour-long epilogue was gonna change anything. Nothing at all. But I gave the book 2 stars, partly maybe because I didn't enjoy the experience of listening to it. This is probably the first audiobook that I've not enjoyed listening to. It didn't help that the narrator was a woman and she was playing all the parts, and that was fine for the most part. However, when she was doing like the male voices, it just sounded a bit silly. And then also when she was narrating the spicy scenes, that was a bit weird. I'm already not a big spice lover. I am growing to like it. However, I think this may have been enough for me to shrivel up and die listening to somebody else narrate it to me. I don't even think it would have made any difference if it was a man doing that role. I think I don't do being told the spice. So that was not, did not enjoy that. I understand that this book is set at a time where a woman's role was basically to get married and then she was deemed as being the property of her husband. I get that, I do. However, that doesn't mean I enjoyed listening to it and reading about it, especially when there was the moment when Daphne realised that Simon had essentially lied to her, because he did. This was the issue that I had. Simon lied to her by saying, I can't have children. If he had been open with her and expressed that it's not that I can't physically have children, it's that I don't want to, for my own reasons, because of his father. That's different. That there is a big difference between I can't and I won't. Him telling her I can't have children made her think that he was physically incapable. He was, what's that word? Oh, I forget what the word is. It starts with an I, I'm sure. It's not infertile. So she then felt sorry for him because she thought that he couldn't have children. She then realised that actually, no, he's lying. Man's pull-out game is strong. And when she realised this, she was annoyed with him, and she would, at night, there was one night she went off to her room and locked herself in there, and he was like, knock on the door, like, Daphne, let me in. And she's like, no. And he was getting really like agitated and angry, and he was like, let me in, like, you are my wife, you need to sleep with me, like, in our bed. And she was like, no. But I just didn't like any of that. I know it's true to the times, but that doesn't mean I have to like it. Him battering down the door being like, you are my wife, I own you, you have to do what I say. Did not like it at all. And then obviously the way that that storyline escalates is he's really intoxicated one night. She and him engage while he is too intoxicated to consent. Let's not downplay any of that. So that was uncomfortable to read. And then when he realizes what's happening, he's a bit like, wait, no, stop. She does not. She assaults her husband. And then later on in the book, he downplays it and is basically like, well, I guess I did want it. Trying to act like assault on a man is okay because he got an erection. I could go on and talk about the levels of wrong it is, but for me, those two moments, him banging on the door and being all, you're my wife, I own you, and her assaulting him, ruined the book for me. They ruined it. Because how can you portray this as a love story when you've got these two different angles coming at you? And I'm sorry, that's just not for me. I like a historical Regency love story. I do love that. I love a gentleman. Like, I'm a lover of like Downton Abbey, being courted. I love the idea of Bridgerton. I don't, however, like how true to the times it is and the way women were treated like the property of their husbands. So if I get a book like this where that is thrown in my face, but also the wife assaults the husband and then they try to downplay it, no, I'm sorry, no. 2 stars. I also just didn't think, when I read it, I did not realize that so much of what I love about the show is either non-existent in the book or so minute. Lady Whistledown's not that big of a role, I would say. It is a Gotham column, but it's only at the start of each chapter, and it's only a little bit of information. It doesn't really go in that hard the way it does in the TV show. Also, the Queen Charlotte's not a character at all. And even some of the characters that I love, like Eloise, has not got a big role at all in the slightest. Things that I love about the show that they've adapted well and they've expanded on and they've made their own. Love it so much. I don't think the books are going to be for me. So I've made the decision that I'm not going to read any more of the books because I have heard that they are quite problematic. There's something in all of them, essentially. I heard that Anthony kicks Kate. Like, what? I don't think they're for me. I will stick to just the TV show on that one. So that was a 2-star read. I technically didn't even finish it because I didn't listen to the rest of the epilogue, but it wasn't for me. Maybe reading it might have been different than, like, say, having a woman narrate the audiobooks. Just hearing a woman be like, oh, Daphne, was so weird, and probably took me out of it more than it would have if I was reading it as a book. But I do not like my women being objectified, and I do not like my men being assaulted. So 2 stars, moving on. I especially don't like it being swept under the rug as if it's not that important. It's different if something like that happens and there's actual character development and growth and apologies, but not when it is swept under the rug and the man essentially is like, do you know what? I wanted it too, so it's fine. It's not fine. Moving on, the first physical book that I started in December and I loved was Catch Your Death by Ravena Guron. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. I have read This Book Kills by Ravena and I loved it. I loved it so much. Probably one of my favorite books that I read last year. Loved it so much. Thought it was great. So I was really excited to read this one. I will say, I didn't love it as much as This Book Kills. The charm of This Book Kills, though, was that it was set in a boarding school, and I loved that. I realised I haven't read enough YA novels set in a boarding school, and now I want to consume more because I loved it. I loved it so much. This book is a story about 3 girls who are all trapped in this huge manor house, or like an estate, during a snowstorm, and while they're there, the woman of the house, Emily Vanfort, I think it's pronounced Vanfort, I think it'd be pronounced Vanfort, is killed. She dies, and these 3 girls are going about solving the mystery. It jumps back and forward between the girls are being interviewed by the police, so they're given their account, and then it sort of jumps back in time to what was happening. There are a few twists and turns along the way. There were reveals that I did not see coming. And then there was some that I did, like I picked up on them quite quickly, but I did enjoy it. It wasn't quite what I was expecting. Some of the characters I did find a little bit annoying. I didn't like the characters, I didn't like the main character as much as I enjoyed her in This Book Kills. I thought like that book was done really well, and I love the characters in it. These ones, they were okay, they were fine. There was a little bit of a love. It wasn't even like a romance subplot, but there was a wee love story right at the end that I did kind of feel like was thrown in just for the sake of it. Like, the characters had no chemistry or connection or even much interaction, but then by the end I'm supposed to assume that they're going on a date. That felt a little bit like thrown in just because that happened at the end of This Book Kills. But in that case, I understood it more. They had more interaction. I could get the connection. It made more sense. Whereas in the end of this book, I was like, why are we okay? Like, why? It felt less realistic and more just for the sake of putting them together. However, I did enjoy it and I did give it 4 stars. I gave it 4 because it wasn't quite as good as This Book Kills, and I gave it 5 stars. But I would still quite recommend this for like a wintry murder mystery. You're in a house, you're locked in, you know that it's likely somebody that's in the house with you. There were a good few twists and turns along the way. It's not what you're expecting. I enjoyed it. It was pretty good. Just not perfect. And that's how my ranking goes. I feel like I don't think I've ever really given a book 1 star, but for me, a 5-star read is a book that is practically perfect. No notes. Well, I always have notes, so that's a lie, but almost perfect. I loved it. I enjoyed the journey that I went on with this book, so I'll give it 5 stars. 4 stars is that it was really good. There just were like, maybe while I was reading it, I was a bit like, I thought this was going to be better. 3 stars is my kind of average. It was fine. There are things that I would have done differently. Personally, the book wasn't what I was expecting. I hyped it up in my mind. It wasn't great. 2 stars is The Duke and I. Shout. And 1 star would be if like this was terrible. I think 1 star would be if it was like poorly written, structured badly, characters are terrible. It reads like a 10-year-old wrote this on Wattpad. I don't think I've ever given 1 star. Next up, we have another 4-star read, and that was The Bullet That Missed by Richard Osman. I have read all the books in the Thursday Murder Club series now. This is book 3. The first 2 I read so long ago, like years ago. I remembered nothing of them. I mean, I remember a bit more of the first one. It stuck with me a little bit more, and then they've just brought out the movie and I watched it and it was pretty okay. I do have some thoughts in it though. Book 2, however, I don't remember anything at all. And this book loved to make a few references to that book, but not in a way that it's telling you what happened, more of like subtle hints of like, remember the drugs, remember this, remember that. And it was like, no. Like, there's a character in prison in this book that went to prison at the end of book 2 because of the Thursday Murder Club, the main 4. I didn't remember her at all. I did not remember her. And she's still going. She's still in the rest of the series. This book was about... What was this book about? There's a girl that's missing. That's what it is. No, okay. I'll read you the summary to this one. It is an ordinary Thursday, and things should finally be returning to normal. Except trouble is never far away when the Thursday Murder Club is concerned. A decade-old cold case leads them to a local news legend and a murder with no body and no answers. Then, a new foe pays Elizabeth a visit. Her mission? Kill or be killed. As the cold case turns red hot, Elizabeth wrestles with her conscience and a gun, while Joyce, Ron and Ibrahim chase down clues with help from old friends and new. But can the gang solve the mystery and save Elizabeth before the murder strikes again? This book is about a girl called Bethany, can't remember her surname, who was a news reporter like 10 plus years ago? Was it 10? Yeah, decade. 10 plus years ago, who was supposedly on the verge of cracking a case. She then disappears. Her car has been found in the water after it rolled off a cliff. There was blood inside, but there was no sign of a body. But they assumed that she was just lost at sea. That was the main plot to this story, was them trying to uncover what happened to Bethany. There are a few new characters that are introduced that are involved through that. There is also this random guy called the Viking who abducts Elizabeth and her husband and threatens her if she doesn't kill this man called Victor. Victor and Viking were so annoying. The Viking's gonna kill Elizabeth. So Elizabeth is like, damn, she used to go and kill this guy, Victor, who actually she knows from her spy days, because Elizabeth is a spy, or was a spy. That subplot was what brought this book down for me. I have always struggled with a Richard Osman book. They're not what I think they're going to be like. I remember the first time I read the Thursday Murder Club and being like, what is this? This is not what I thought it was going to be. I found the characters very cringy, very like a caricature. I always thought they would be adapted well on the screen, as has been proven by the movie coming out. But as a book, I'm a big sucker for dialogue. And if I don't find it believable, it will turn me against your book like that. I don't like dialogue that when I'm reading it, it either doesn't flow nicely, or the way it flows, I'm like, people don't talk like this. What on earth is this? So going into this one, again, I was a bit like, I'm not that optimistic because I wasn't overly keen on the last 2. And I really wasn't overly keen on this one either. I'm always taken in by the mystery. I'm always curious about what's happened. This one, I will say, might even be my least favourite of them all. I found the subplot with the Viking and Elizabeth having to go kill this Victor character. There was a whole plot with them that the Vikings acting all really tough and you don't want to mess with me. You don't want to mess with me. You don't want to mess with me. Because if you mess with me, you're messing with my family. And it was just so cringe. It's always really cringe. Every time they introduce these characters that are really big, dark and bad. And I've killed people. I've killed people for less. I've done this. I've done that. You really don't want to mess with me. You don't want me as your enemy. Meanwhile, the Thursday Murder Club are sitting around him on the sofa. Ron's saying random things. Ibrahim's trying to like delve into his childhood. Elizabeth's sitting there like, I used to be a spy. And Joyce is going, can I get you a cup of tea? Would you like a slice of cake? Can I interest you in this? Oh, I love you this. I love you that. Meanwhile, I'm sat there like, And the dangerous criminal man, it's always a man, is sitting there like, and the next thing you know, they're best pals. And suddenly he'd do anything for them. The most dangerous man in the whole of the entire world, but he's actually your best friend now. I can help you with this. And oh, you want to get into Bitcoin? Yep, I can help you with that. And I'm just like, what is going on? Like, these characters... Okay, here's the thing that gets me. Okay, here's how I feel about it. I understand that probably because they're OAPs, they have that charm about them. They almost already, I mean, they've got plot armor as thick as fucking, I don't know, what's something that's really thick? I don't know. But they've got that thick ass plot armor around them already. It's impenetrable. Then you get these like really dangerous, deadly criminals all come around, and suddenly it's because like, oh, they're just little pensioners. I love you, I will die for you. I'm pretty sure some of like the most dangerous gangsters would not think twice about burning down a house with like children inside. They will kill your granny. Like, I'm pretty sure that what makes these men so ruthless is that they will not think twice about killing your grandmother. Do you know what I mean? So when they come around and they're suddenly like, I'm going to be your best friend now, I'm going to be in your pocket. It bugged the life out of me. This book and me, we're not friends. Even when the mystery came to a head and it ended, I was like, really? That's how it ended? Do you know what? I'm going to do a spoiler. Spoiler warning for how the book ends. The girl Bethany that had gone missing, presumed dead, who was on the verge of cracking open a red hot case and had messaged her co-host on The Tonight Show being like, I'm onto something. And he's worried about her because she then goes missing. It turned out that she actually decided, rather than report on this, I want a piece of the action. And it was, I can't even remember what the scheme was. No, the thing that made it sound really ridiculous, it was some sort of like money laundering thing. And it was like, there was millions and millions and millions that was laundered through all these different companies and different ways to the point that in the end they lost track of their money. What? Who is laundering money to the point that they actually lose it? Like, it's gone. They don't know. They've laundered it so well, even they don't know where it is. And she'd found some of the money and decided, actually, I'm going to keep this for myself. I'm onto something here. And so she takes off and now she's in Dubai. She fakes her death and runs away to Dubai. I was like, what in the tomfoolery is this? It was a bit ridiculous. It was a bit silly. The Viking Victor subplot was ridiculous. I don't really want to spoil that one, but you can guess what happened from what I said. Everybody was best friends by the end of it. It was just so ridiculous. And the amount of times these characters, these little OAPs that are solving mysteries, cute premise, I love the idea, they're always involved in something absolutely humongous and ginormous and they come out of it scot-free. Are you joking me? Are we serious right now? Like, they have like Elizabeth especially, she's a character that bugs me only because I feel like she has a contact for every situation. Like, she's the whole like, I used to be a spy. It's giving Mycroft Holmes, like, he is the British government. Which, I never minded that in, like, Sherlock Holmes, because Mycroft was still, like, an active member in whatever it was that he was doing. I don't even remember. I don't really know. British government, that's what he was. That's what his role was. But, like, he was actively still at work. He was getting a wage every week, every month. He was getting a salary. Elizabeth's been out of the game for a while, but we're supposed to assume that she was that great of a spy. Like, I don't know, like, I don't know the first thing about spies. I really don't. I don't know about anybody who, like, was a spy, did all this really, like, dangerous stuff and stuff for their country, and, like, what happens next? Like, what happens when they do retire and they just go and live and do whatever? And, like, I'm assuming their name has to be changed, but they just go about and live their lives doing whatever. If it was years and years ago, like, maybe they are still, like, they probably do still have connections and contact. But I feel like if you're gonna be an old character that's, like, in your 70s, 80s, all your people above you are dead now. And probably all the people that you also worked with are probably also dead now. And if they're spies, surely they're wanted and hunted down by other countries that they probably don't even get to live their lives quietly and peacefully. So make it make sense to me. I don't like a character that has a contact for every situation and just I don't know, it just drives me insane in a way that I think plot armor. I can't be doing with it. I can't. So this book, I only gave 4 stars just because it was definitely, of all of them, this one was my least favourite. Probably because I rolled my eyes so much. The different characters bugged the life out of me. I was not impressed. I just wasn't. Moving on to a Christmassy read that I read because it was Christmas time. Murder at Maybridge Castle. I gave this book 3 stars. This is the 3rd book that I've read by Moncriffe. This is the 2nd book in a series of Daphne King. Didn't like the first one either. I've also read another one which was Murder Most Festive, and also I've read Murder at the Theatre Royal, which was the first Daphne King book. Both of them I found they were okay. I enjoyed them at the time, probably because I read them at Christmas time. They were fun, they were festive. They weren't great. They weren't absolutely outstanding, amazing, love it, best mystery I've ever read. They're quite cozy. This one, I will say though, was a big miss for me. Our characters are all brought together by a man called Charles, who has purchased this Maybridge Castle, and he's turning it into a hotel, and he's wanting it to be like a haunted hotel because this place is haunted. The bunch of characters that were all there all felt very random. They sort of were friendly with Charles, but also it was also a bit ridiculous in a way because he's invited them all to this castle. It's the grand opening of the hotel and it's not even finished, which obviously you're supposed to assume is because he's having money troubles. This is clearly just a money pit that no matter what you're throwing at it, you're never gonna get it to be what you want it to be. It's an old crumbling castle, it's moldy, it's damp. I'll read the back to you because to me it sounded really interesting. It's Christmas 1936 and an eclectic, what the fuck does eclectic, list of guests and staff have gathered for the grand reopening of Maybridge Castle, a newly renovated yet still crumbling hotel deep in the Cumbrian countryside. Among them are a doctor and his new wife, tarot readers, a journalist, and an elderly amateur sleuth and her cat. By the time the first sherries have been drunk, a person will be dead, as an innocent game of murder in the dark turns into a real game of life and death. Someone has changed the rules, but who? It was so boring. That was the main thing I had to take from this. It's had a really interesting premise, but I actually found it really boring. They play murder in the dark. They do a practice run in one room and Daphne gets scared and they turn the lights on and everything's fine. Then they do it, they're like, let's do it for real. Which I think the novelty would have wore off when Daphne was running around in the dark panicking. And also I don't think what grown adults actually want to play murder in the dark. It's basically hide and seek. So they're running around in the dark in this house and someone falls down the stairs and dies. But oh no, actually maybe they've been killed. The police come, the police aren't very interested, and everything moves on. They carry on with the planned activities for their stay despite one of them being dead. And even Daphne, the main character, who herself is a bit of a sleuth, she's thinking about it, but she also still just carries on as normal. It was so ridiculous. It was so silly. And then there's a few reveals along the way. Someone else dies and then the murderers unmask and it's just a bit silly. It wasn't great. It was a bit dull. It had a brilliant setup. It had the potential to be so better and so much more, but it just wasn't, and it just fell a bit flat. So I only gave it 3 stars. It served its purpose as a Christmassy read, but it could have been so much better if it had gone in a different direction. 3rd book I read by Moncriffe, and the 3rd book I read in December. The next book was another audiobook called The Christmas Eve Murders by Noelle Albright. I gave it 4 stars. I don't really have much to say about it. The story takes place on Christmas Eve, as you can tell by the title. Our main character, I actually forget her name. Maddie, that was it. I knew it began with an A. Maddie is having car trouble while trying to get home to her parents to spend Christmas with them. She breaks down. She is found by a man and he takes her to the local pub. From there, she tries to call breakdown, but there is a snowstorm, so they're not sending out any traffic, so she has to stay in this pub overnight while they're at the pub, they are doing their annual Christmas Eve scavenger hunt. While that is going on, a person dies, so the scavenger hunt comes to an end and everyone's locked in to this pub with, thankfully there are police officers there. There was 2 police officers in because one of them, his dad owns the pub, but they were in to do the scavenger hunt. So thankfully, you know, there's a police presence, but the rest of them, they're snowed in. There's no phone signal. The landlines are down and they run out of power. I think the backup generators do come to life, I can't remember. But either way, they are snowed in this pub overnight with a body and a killer in their midst. It was pretty good, I will say. You know, it was not bad actually. There was a few shady characters and it made you wonder what was going on. And in the end, the killer being revealed, a little bit weird. The one thing as well, I will say, that I found really odd, that I couldn't decide if I'd picked it up wrong in the first place, but I don't think I had. The owner of the pub had a son, which was the police officer. Forget his name, could not tell you. Alex. Or Alex? He had another son as well called James that he'd had because he'd left Alex's mum. He'd had an affair, left Alex's mum and was now with this new woman, Sophie, and had a son with her. But the whole time, they kept referencing the 2 brothers as being stepbrothers. And I was like, you're not stepbrothers, you're half-brothers. Like, that was his son. Both of them were his son. I think his name is Mick. Both of them were his sons. They had different mothers, but they have the same father. That makes you half-brothers. So why was the entire book, they were constantly saying, your stepbrother, your stepbrother? That ain't a stepbrother. A stepbrother is somebody that, you know, your mum married my dad and you were already on the scene. But that's not, I don't think that's how it was. I'm pretty sure it wasn't. So that was my main gripe, was that bugged me. Little things like that bug me. But it was pretty okay, and then the mystery came to a head. It was a fun, cozy, also slightly scary at times. Not scary, but you know what I mean? Like a little bit spooky. You know, we're locked in a pub, it's dark, there's no power, there's no phone service, and it's Christmas Eve, and there's a killer with us. It was good, but I gave it 4 stars because, like, it was fine. It just, I think what I find is with audiobooks, I don't get that gripped by them that I do the same way if I'm actually sitting reading it and I'm taking in all the words. There's something about an audiobook that I feel it's just out there, it's in the air. I pick them up, I put them down, I read them when I'm listening to it while I'm going around doing like shopping, or I'm cleaning, or I'm doing a car journey. So I'm not quite invested the same way that I am if I'm actually physically reading the book. So maybe that's the reason I gave it 4 stars, but it was fine, it was good. I just wasn't entirely like, wow, this is amazing. And so the last book that I've read in December was the 4th book in the Thursday Murder Club series by Richard Osman. And actually, this one was my favourite. This one was so good. This was so much better than the others. This, compared to this one, this book being a 5-star could bring this one down to like a 2. Because obviously I did not like this one at all. I didn't like the mystery. I didn't like the characters. I didn't like much of it at all. This one, however, I loved it. I loved it. It was great. It was so much better. The mystery in this one was drugs. Was it missing drugs? Okay, so I'll read some to you. Shocking news reaches the Thursday Murder Club. An old friend in the antiques business has been killed, and a dangerous package he was protecting has gone missing. As the gang spring into action, they encounter art forgers, online fraudsters and drug dealers, as well as heartache close to home. With the body count rising, the package still missing, and trouble firmly on their tail, has their luck finally run out? And who will be the last devil to die? Love this. This was so much better. So much better than the last one. This one's been my favourite. I've now read all 5 of the Thursday Murder Club series, and this one is my favourite one, I think. This one was, actually saying that, the 5th one was really good as well. Both of them have been up there. I feel like now what it is, I've grown an attachment to the main 4, so I know them now, and I feel like before, when I used to find them a bit cringe and quite caricature. Now I am finding them warm and endearing, and I know them and I like them all. So that was probably different. That probably helped it. Also as well, the mystery was really good. So you have a package has gone missing. We realised that obviously it's been like a drug smuggling operation. There was so many different characters involved. There was a lot of, like, the body count was rising. A lot of the characters they were mean were getting killed off. But I was gripped and I was so like, oh, what is happening? There were some sad moments along the way, but for the most part, this one was really good. I was taken in by the mystery. I kind of made the connection of what was going to happen, and I was right. But then there was others. There was one little twist that was revealed that I thought, I didn't really feel like we needed this. Like, we didn't really need this character and we didn't really need that involvement. But also, it's fine. I really enjoyed this one. I thought it was really, really good. Highly recommend it. I couldn't tell you if I felt like you could read the rest of these, like the other books, without reading the rest of them, because there are throwbacks to the last books and things that happened in them. I don't know if you could. You probably could actually read them without reading the rest. Like, they don't matter all that much. They will make reference to things that you then won't understand and they won't go into detail with, but I feel like you could still enjoy it. So I definitely would say this book and also book 5, highly recommend them. They were really good. I love this one. So it was nice to end my 2025, I almost said 2026 there, my 2025 on a high. So that was, let's see, 1 2-star, 1 3-star, 3 4-stars, and a 5-star. So all in all, not a bad reading month and a varied mix. I will say probably of them all, I mean, this one has to be my favourite, the only one with 5 stars. Then I would probably say Catch Your Death, and then, I don't know, then I would probably say Murder, the Christmas Eve Murders, then probably the Thursday Murder Club, then Murder, Maybridge Castle, and then The Duke and I, because, like I say, it was ass. But that was everything that I read in December of 2025, and the last of the books that I read for the year. I've already read 2 books so far in January, and I'm currently about 100 pages away from finishing my 3rd. So thank you so much for watching this video, and as always, I will see you in my next one, whatever that may be. And if you like, you can follow along on my socials. They are listed in the description box below. So I hope you also had a good reading month in December, and I hope you have a good reading month in January. Thank you. Bye.